Hello and welcome to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, Patty Radikovich, and it's my pleasure to bring you information on animal-related topics in the animal rescue community. On today's episode, our guest is Dog Aide, and this is an organization that serves the Detroit area. And I actually put out a call to some people from the other rescue groups and said I'd like to have a group on that serves Detroit, and overwhelmingly Dog Aide was voted as the group that I had to have on the show. So I wanted to welcome you guys to the show.
Thank you.
I want to introduce, this is Jen Clarkson, and she is the president of Dog Aide, and this is Christina Katowski, and she is a board member. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us a little bit about Dog Aide. I know you actually do a lot of similar things to Basil's Buddies in that you do a lot of community outreach. So
we do. Dog Aide started about 3 years ago. We saw a need in the city of Detroit for education and community outreach, and our focus was to try to assist owners to actually keep their pets as opposed to them becoming strays or going into the shelters. So we've continued to develop our program since then, and we offer food delivery service. We do low-cost spay-neuter, vaccinations, and pretty much anything we can do to try to assist them to keep their pets in their home.
That's a wonderful service to offer, and that's something, helping people keep their pets is a much-needed service, because otherwise those pets will all end up in the shelter system, and then the rescues are taking them. So we always feel that, if it's a loving home and they just need help, it's best to keep the animal in their home.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us, let's talk a little bit about those different services. So what was like the first, when you guys started off, what was the first thing that you really wanted to focus on? Because I know that's a lot of different components. Did you bring it all together all at once, or did you start one at a time and kind of build up?
We definitely built up. The first thing that we focused on was food. We realized right off the bat that food was a way to get our foot in the door, so to speak, and really start to connect us to the families. From there, we started to talk to people about vaccinations, because obviously it's an issue. We just assisted a dog yesterday that has parvo, and so it's something you're always seeing. And out of that also, we determined that we had to promote spay and neuter, because that was a way to really take down the number of actual dogs in the city, which is a huge problem.
Great. So now how does your service work? Like, let's say there's somebody that's in need. How do they find out about you, and what happens when they contact you?
I'll let Christina answer it, because she's the one who does it.
Okay.
A lot of it, we have a lot of families that are actually, in the same neighborhoods. So, we assist one family, and then we're seeing that, their brother also needs help. And so it's kind of like the foot in the door of, we pass out business cards and magnets and stuff like that to people that, might think that like their neighbor or their brother or something could use our assistance. We also do a lot of like flyering in areas. We'll do wellness checks on, other organizations will reach out to us and say, I see this dog, it's tied out in the backyard a lot. Is there any way that you guys can go over there and maybe offer, a dog house or, a light tie out instead of a chain, that kind of thing. So it's, we'll stop by and pass out a flyer if they're not home, and they'll call our hotline. And one of our main focus is owner responsibility. So them calling our hotline and saying, I need this help, I need, dog food, I'm low on dog food, or, I really think that my dog could use some treats, or I really think that my dog, might need vaccinations, that kind of thing. It's kind of making them responsible to call us instead of just driving in the neighborhood and dropping off food.
Okay.
But we do love to go out in the community and like spread our name, and just let people know that help is out there, and that's one of the biggest things. I know when it started, and our program started, was letting people know that there is a solution.
Okay, great. So now, if somebody is watching this and they're in Detroit and they need some help, are there any requirements that you guys have of them in order to receive the help?
We do require that dogs are spayed and neutered within 2 months of entering our program. That's kind of our goal. Some people are not, too sure about it. They don't really know much about the spay neuter. They've never had dogs that, have had that done before. So we'll work with them a little bit and, just provide education on, here's a pamphlet of, when we, like of dogs that have had this done before. This is how the procedure works, and kind of just make them feel comfortable with it. And we do. It's not really a requirement, but we try and educate them. Right? I feel like I keep saying that word. Like that's like our main thing. It's like education, and letting them know that like the dog can't be outside all the time. The dog can't, in the freezing cold temperatures. Like providing a dog house, and almost asking them like, if we provide you with a crate, could you please bring the dog in at night, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, that's great. And education is key, because there's a lot of times that just because this is how they were raised when they were young, that they saw that this is how their families had animals, it doesn't mean that it's the best way to be a pet parent. Right. And so sometimes you have to just provide people with the education and let them know the reasons behind why we do this instead of that. And so that's great that you are doing the education piece of it.
And that's really a crucial part, is understanding the community that you're not dealing with, the community that you're talking to, because where they're coming from is not necessarily where we're coming from, and we have to understand that and be able to work with that. We're not going to get anywhere with anybody if we come in guns blazing and try to force them into our thought process. So it's really the 2 months that we require for the spay-neuter is our time to get in and start to have those conversations with people and make them feel comfortable with what we're talking to them about, as opposed to, you have to do this now, there's no other way, or we're leaving.
Great, okay. Now I know that obviously if any group that's serving animals, there always comes a time that even if you say, I'm just going to help keep people with their pets, you're always going to get rescues. So we know that that's now a part of your program, is the rescues.
Absolutely. That's how we started out, actually.
Okay, you started as a rescue? Right. So now we brought some of the animals that are available for adoption. You brought them today.
Yes, we
so
did.
Why don't we bring one of them out right now?
Okay.
I think you can bring out Mika. And tell us about Mika.
Mika is a 6 to 7 month old Shepherd Border Collie mix, female. She loves kids and she loves other dogs. We would like her to be in a house with other dogs because she came to us off the street and she was unsocialized, and so it really makes her feel a lot more comfortable to have other dogs in the household.
Great. Yeah, and is she a little bit shy?
She's a little bit shy.
She is.
Yep. But she's doing better and better every single day. She's fixed, she's up to date on her vaccinations, and she loves to play.
Great. And see, and she's very calm.
Yeah.
She loves treats.
It's a very treat-oriented dog. She's very cute. Now you brought one other one with you in the studio today, and this is Seven.
This is Seven. He was named Seven because he was found on 7 Mile.
Okay.
Sometimes we will pick up dogs not because they're injured, but because, like both of these dogs, they're in a position where it's obvious that this dog is not supposed to be in that environment, completely unsuccessful, and Seven was one of those dogs.
Okay.
He was running up to people at a gas station and jumping on people, and one of our board members saw him and knew that if she didn't take him at that moment, that potentially something bad was going to happen to him. And in situations like with Seven, we always make sure that we do a thorough search to see if we can find an owner, because he was in fairly good condition and seemed to be a well-socialized dog. He's about a year to a year and a half old. He is also fixed, up to date on shots. He likes other dogs. He lives with children, loves children. He's very playful, very energetic.
Definitely puppy.
Great. So now, what type of dogs do you typically rescue?
It really runs a complete gamut. I would say a lot of our dogs end up being terrier breed dogs, but we also have lots of shepherds. We had a Rhodesian Ridgeback once, Rottweilers, Chihuahuas.
Okay, so just an all-breed dog rescue.
All-breed dog rescue.
Do you typically get your dogs from Detroit? Or
all dogs come from Detroit.
All dogs come from Detroit, okay. And for your adoptions, now where can people find what animals you have available for adoption?
We have a page on Adopt a Pet, and all of our dogs are located there. They're also listed on our website, which is dogaide.com.
Okay, great. And then if somebody is interested in adopting one of your dogs, what do they need to do?
They can send an email to info@dogaide.com, or they can give us a call at 313-744-6364.
Okay, and is there an application process, home visits?
There's an application process, there's home visits, there's vet checks. We're going to do everything to make sure that the dog is successful in its home. So,
Okay.
Yeah, lots of checks.
Okay, great. So now let's talk a little bit more about how you guys actually operate, how you're able to do everything that you need to do.
Okay.
So where do you get a lot of your food? Because well, first of all, how many clients do you typically have at any given time? If you just have a rough guess.
I want to say we have 110 families right now
Okay.
that we're servicing. Each home on average has 2 animals, so that's close to 250 pets. And we are totally donation based, so that's where all of our supplies would come from.
Okay, and so all the food that you get is donated foods, either from the public, or do you also get donations from other rescues or other organizations?
We do get a lot of donations from other rescues, which is great. We pride ourselves on working with multiple organizations, and we found that they really support what we do, which is terrific.
Great. Now, as far as getting the vet costs and the services, now I know you said for spay-neuter, you sometimes you have vouchers that you can use for.
We do get vouchers periodically from Michigan Humane Society. They're specifically for bully breed animals. It's free spay-neuter and vaccinations are included. And then we also use multiple low-cost clinics in the area. Typically, a spay-neuter would cost about $80, and then vaccinations run about $15 a piece.
Okay. All right, and then you were saying that you also have sponsorship programs, is that correct?
We do. We have sponsorship programs for our owned dogs that would be our community dogs, not our dogs that are in foster care. And people can sponsor any of the costs for the different services that we would be trying to give to the owned dogs.
Okay, great. So now, you guys have been doing this, you said, for about 3 years. So how did it kind of all begin? Like, what was the impetus for starting this?
There was a particular dog, her name was Alex, and she had been a stray that we knew of for at least 3 months, and one of our original board members had been feeding this dog and the rest of her pack, and had noticed that she was injured, so she called in additional people who ended up being other members of Dog Aide, and we realized that the dog needed emergency medical care at that moment. And so then we brought in additional people, and we kind of realized that together we could make so much more of a difference than we could just that one person. People were on the phone getting financial backing, and people were contacting the vet service, and people were arranging transport, and people were finding fosters. And it really opened our eyes to the level of what could happen to a dog if it was left to its own devices in the city. And so that made us start to think about what could we do to stop that from even happening in the first place. How do we keep the dogs in their homes so that they don't end up on the street in the situation that this dog was in?
Great. So, like, what do you guys see as far as the future for your group? Like, what do you hope do you want to expand on any services or offer more things that you're not now?
I think one of the biggest things is, pairing with other organizations and, low-cost clinics and getting the vaccinations and, having other groups offer their services to us, kind of team up with them on, we'll have 50 clients or, even lower, like 10 clients that we could bring out on a Saturday and, have them all be vaccinated on the same day. And, one of the biggest problems that we do run into is transportation. There's a lot of people that don't have transportation, and so getting their dogs, to the vet on a certain day seems to be an issue. We try to assist in that in any way that we can, but I think having, one day that we could, say, have our foster base or even volunteers, even sponsors that, follow our page and, have them help us get these dogs to one location and, get them fully vaccinated and help them out.
That's great. So if there's one thing that I know that you're donation based, but if there's one thing that you guys really need that you want to be able to, say, hey, we could use help with this, whether it's from another rescue or whether it's from the public, I don't know if it's volunteers or something else, what is one thing that you guys really need at this point that people could help you with?
We're always looking for food.
Okay.
Flea medication, tie-outs, all things that can help make a dog more comfortable in its home. So
Okay.
daily care items.
Okay, so maybe things that people kind of, as you said, people come from different mentalities, and so something that maybe some of us that have been raised with the family pet inside the house, these are things that we take for granted. And so if people start looking around and perhaps saying, oh, well, my dog has this, maybe there's some dogs that don't have these things, whether it's toys or, like you said, the flea medication or things like that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, well, hopefully people will be on the lookout for those items for you.
That would be terrific.
Now, there are two other dogs that we wanted to showcase today, and they're not here, so I'm going to bring their pictures up. But
Okay.
why don't you tell us about those dogs?
Okay. The first dog is Trixie. She's about a year old. We found her with her sister and her mother living in an abandoned house. She is another terrier, bully breed, and she loves other dogs. Not so good with cats, but that's okay. Loves kids. She's a very loving, sweet girl looking for a home. The second dog is Ollie. He was a stray as well. He doesn't do well with cats either. He does okay with dogs as long as he's got good introductions, and also lives with children and is very good with the children. And he's actually in a foster home, but we're looking for a new foster home for him because his foster mother is going to California for the summer. So
Okay.
that's what we're really hoping at this point in time. I mean, we'd love to get him in a forever home, but we're really looking for a forever home or a foster home for him.
Okay, and so you guys, you're a foster-based rescue team.
Yes,
so,
we are.
So you are still on the lookout for other foster homes as well?
Always looking for foster homes.
Great. How many dogs typically do you have in your program as far as rescue dogs that are available?
We typically have about 10 to 12 dogs in our program.
Okay, great. So are there any final messages or anything that you'd like to let people know about you guys?
Just continue to support us if you can. We really appreciate the fact that so many other organizations thought so highly of us to recommend us to come on, and we love to continue those relationships with people. And we would just love for people to continue to pay attention to what's going on in the city of Detroit, be open-minded, and see how they can help. Give us a call if you want to volunteer or foster, and let's continue to help the dogs in the city of Detroit.
Great. And if anybody does have any food donations or something for you, do they just contact you through your email?
Yeah, that would be terrific.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure having you here and telling us about your organization. So it's a much-needed service, and hopefully more organizations will start picking up these types of things too, so that we can help solve this problem.
That would be great.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
so we all look forward to a day when all pets are treated like family and everyone has a home. Until that time, we invite you to be part of the solution. And remember, please spay and neuter your pets. See you next time.